Eat this.
Don't touch that dial. It's time for Tech Talk with Chad Hembree, featuring the latest and greatest in today's technology, with a little fun along the way.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Oh God, here we go again. Dork alert.
Hello and welcome to Tech Talk with Chad Hembree. I'm your host, Chad Hembree, and joining me in the studio is Mr. Jack Cates. Thanks for being here, Jack. We've got several stories to talk about, and one thing that we'll be talking about for sure this week that we promised last week, security. Personal security, especially with these little notebooks. Some things that you want to keep in mind when you're packing these things around, and the idea that you might actually lose one or not be able to get it back for some reason. There's some things we want to talk about to keep you safe and keep your data safe. Also, if you work for a company or deal with a business that has HIPAA requirements, then you need to know that with some of the stuff we're going to talk about, you actually save yourself from having to report yourself to the government. So just by employing a few little steps, you can save yourself a lot of trouble, a lot of money. So we'll talk about that this week. Also, we're going to talk about some simple ways to keep your passwords across the internet, some ideas you want to keep in mind about having different passwords, because people think, oh my gosh, different password for every site, I'll never remember that. Well, just come up with a system and we'll help you with that. But with the news first, the first thing in the news we will talk about is Nintendo looks like they're finally going to have production on the new DS.
3DS.
3DS?
Yeah. 3DS. This looks pretty interesting. It's going to be a 3D, and we've talked about 3D televisions quite a bit over the last few weeks. It's going to be a 3D gaming system, handheld gaming system. This is going to be pretty slick.
Now, back in March, when we talked about the E3 gaming show, we also talked about this particular item being released, the 3DS, and that it was a layer of two screens that you're looking through, and that's what creates the 3D effect instead of having to wear the glasses,
right.
Of course. Now, it's an awesome theory. It looked good on the web, but obviously we couldn't see the 3D. But from looking at other people's experience, they're like, oh, wow, that's pretty nice. And it was adjustable, so if your eyesight's a little different than somebody else's, you could adjust it a little bit. But there's a kind of a negative thing that's happened, though, and it has to do with shipping the product, right? They're not going to be able to release it?
When we talked about it the first time, it was still heavily in concept mode. Mm-hmm. But apparently this thing is ready for release, but the thing that we always sort of look at, especially considering we're really not that far removed, a couple of months from your Black Friday special. So,
golly, wow, this year has flown. For me.
You just got excited though, didn't you? Black Friday's
Absolutely.
coming. But we always think about whenever we start talking about the Black Friday special and start thinking about stuff for that, we talk about, is it going to make it for the Christmas season, for the gift season? And no, this is not. It's not going to be released in Japan until February, and in North America and Europe around March, maybe April.
Oh wow! So we're looking at a good quarter past Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're not going to miss it by a few weeks here. We're talking a few months at least for release here.
That's not a very good release for it. Golly, I mean, imagine what it would have done before Christmas. That would have been a hot item.
Yeah, I get the feeling they probably targeted Christmas. But my guess would be they ran into production issues somewhere along the way, or just technical glitches.
In the perfect world.
Yeah, in the perfect world, they would have released it right at the beginning of the Thanksgiving holiday. Had those Black Friday people lined up in droves, like somebody we know.
Okay, whatever. Yeah. The next story I wanted to talk about has to do with one of my favorite movies growing up, and that was Tron. Now, that
was such a slick movie.
We hinted about Tron when the first YouTube videos leaked out about the concept of Disney doing a new Tron movie. Well, of course, it's been in production now, and they do have Jeff Bridges back, and it looks phenomenal. It's due December the 17th. $150 million film.
Wow. That's, well, you know what, though? If, considering the number of old school Tron fans there are out there, you and I included in that, I don't really see that they would have that much trouble recouping that kind of a.
Oh, heck no! This thing's gonna explode, and I'm telling you, this is. If you were an old Tron fan, they're not going to hurt your feelings with this one. This is great. You're going to like it. They've tried very hard to be true to the story, to have a new way to push it forward. Oh wow! I mean, this is going to be exciting. So I cannot wait to see the new Tron, and I'm going to make sure that our buddies over at Never Press Pause give this one good.
How could they not? It's Tron.
Good publicity. That's right.
I mean, yeah. Like I said, when the movie came out, what? Do you remember when that came? It was the early '80s.
The original Tron? I don't know.
I think it was.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was the early '80s, like '82, '83, something like that.
Let Dwayne look that up. When did Tron come up? That's what people behind the camera are for. Come on.
But
he's gonna throw something at us one day.
Yeah, when you start seeing the stuff flying into the camera, it's Dwayne. But when it came out, it was really cutting edge then, and in '82. Okay, I nailed that one. Go Jack.
You did. I'm kind of impressed. I wasn't going to admit it until you brought it out, but
I'm surprised actually.
Disney remake the Black Hole.
But
that's the second film. Well, the other film that we want to see Disney remake is The Black Hole, of course. I mean, Maximilian with CGI.
That would be one nasty looking robot.
You got it.
That would be that gleaming red shell. I can't wait to see what they do with this in CGI with the modern CGI technology and everything. Man, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be just off the hook.
Well, the lighting effects that they used on their clothes was similar to the effects that Lucas used for the lightsabers, and now they don't have to full. I mean, now they can do all that digitally, so it's gonna take it to a whole new level. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, this is gonna be phenomenal.
Won't we run around trying to use black lights, to get effects?
I wonder how much they spent in black lights on that. On that movie. They had to have a separate blacklight budget.
All right, I don't want to give this story too much airtime, but it has been mentioned 3 times this week by 3 different people that I should talk about it. Uh-oh. So very quickly, Dr. Elena Bodner has created an emergency bra. And you're thinking, what's the big emergency with a bra? Well, I can tell you, I've been into Walmart a few times and I've seen some bra emergencies. They needed one, but that's beside the point. That's not the kind of emergency we're talking about.
I can't believe you went there.
The emergency we're talking about is in case something happens and you need a breathing mask. Oh, I know some people just hit the floor right now because they're already picturing where this is going.
We just lost half of our viewership.
This bra comes off and not only makes a breathing mask for you, but one for your partner or your friend. So there you go. The life-saving.
I'm a little bothered that you pointed at me there. Just so you know.
Well, you are sitting here, and I'm not going to wear the bra anyway, so sorry, we're both going to die. But the fact is, you can get the bra for $29.99, and that's all I'm going to talk about it. You can send me emails. I might respond. I might Twitter. No more airtime does this bra get. Okay.
I'm grateful.
Pockets in it that you can pepper spray in.
I tell you, it's insane. I can't believe
gracious.
it.
It's yeah.
Okay,
That definitely comes from one of those. What are they going to think of next? Piles.
I would have never even begun to think about taking someone's bra off and sticking it on my face to breathe through it. So yeah, I don't know where it's going to go or how. Yeah,
There are 400 jokes I could make right now, and none of them appropriate.
That's okay. Keep it down, boy.
Okay.
In the future, according to cartoons like the Jetsons and I was trying to think Justice League, you always see video phones being the future, right? Any of the movies of the future, Total Recall, all that, it's video phones, right? Video phone. Well, we have that now with computers.
Just nobody wants to use it.
Yeah, Skype is great. But Cisco the company, of course, insists, not Poncho's partner, Cisco Technologies
You're on a roll today,
insists that we're not going to use the technology until it becomes as convenient as a phone. All right, logging onto your computer,
that is logical. That's typical of most things.
So they are starting to roll out their new line of video teleconferencing technologies that are simple box devices that can hook to televisions with really simple camera interfaces. So therefore, you can set up the whole thing for $150, $200, and you're done. So it's like buying a nice phone. And they want to make it as simple as dialing. That whole thing we're used to, the simple way to communicate. And I see this as a great... And 150, by the way, is just my dream. I think it could probably be 200 plus, but this is Cisco we're talking about. But other companies should jump on the bandwagon once this opens up as a market.
Sure.
So I think it's a great idea. You would need no IT support for this. There goes my job. But you would need no advanced knowledge of setting things up. They want to make it as simple as can be. Now, if you've ever used Cisco's Valet, I was trying to stall, Valet service. Have you ever seen their Valet line of routers?
No. Well, I don't. It's been a while since I did networking, so.
Their Valet system literally is a router that you can go to the store, buy it, plug it in. It's going to work. You don't have to set up your DSL with it. You don't have to set up your passwords. You don't have to set up. It'll automatically secure the link between your wireless devices by using the software that comes with it. You don't have to know anything. It just does it.
Simplicity has long been Cisco's trademark, hasn't it? I mean, one of their...
No. I understand what you're saying because the consumer market line, you're right. They've pushed towards the simplicity. Even their IP...
Nobody does simplicity for
even
IT.
Their IP phones are simpler than, say, Polycom's phones. Okay, they don't do as many functions necessarily, or if they do, it's a different way. But they're just simpler. But their business stuff and like their routers, I mean, I can remember having to go to those classes to learn just to write in their language for routers and programming. I thought, is this company insane? They're reinventing the wheel every time I have to do something. But turns out, no, they're not insane. They're a really good company. But at the time, I didn't have much good to say about them. So anyway, I think that Cisco's got a good thing going, and I think it'll be great to see this through. And if they follow the attitude and the support and everything that they're giving that Valet line, then I'm going to say that this will be a good product. Now, the quality of their stuff has always been top-notch. Absolutely top-notch.
The only limitation that I can see is the bandwidth of telephone line, and that has improved so much in recent years, because they tried this once before with telephone. You just
the
camera-type
video
telephone.
phones.
Yeah, the actual, but the quality was so poor that they never sold. They flopped miserably. But it was a bandwidth issue more than anything else.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Absolutely.
And so now with the improved bandwidth, with the DSL, the new packetting,
everything
is so much more
your
streamlined.
Uplinks so much better than they used to be.
Right.
We've had the down bandwidth for quite some time now, pretty readily available. But the uplinks have been bad limited in the past. And still are on some systems.
And the downlink doesn't matter a whole lot if the up is
when you're doing
right.
video conferencing or trying to talk to someone, you need the up as much as you need the down. So that's just the way it works. Do you remember? I was trying to think when the first satellite services came out for internet. If you see me staring off, it's because Dwayne has pulled up a full screen picture of some lady wearing one of those bra cups on her face. He just thinks this is great. But I gave it more airtime. Take that back. But what was I talking about?
I don't know. The bra masks was the last thing that I know.
That was definitely a game changer.
Go on, Chad.
Talk about video phones. Okay.
Right.
And uplinks and downlinks. The satellite came out, and they had this phenomenal deal where you could download from satellite and have your high-speed internet anywhere. And it actually started out as a pretty reasonable price. Direct PC.
Yeah, you actually, when your old business, you carried that very briefly, didn't you?
Yeah, we carried it and sold it for a while. And it was good. It was really good. It got people satellite or high-speed internet that could not get it otherwise. And they still have satellite services, but they're a lot more expensive now, and they're a lot better, because this was the downfall to it. In theory, this thing was great because your download speeds were high, but you still used a dial-up modem to upload. You didn't send anything up. So you had this nice bandwidth coming in and this 19 kilobits going out that just didn't cut it.
Pokey.
The lag time on it, when you said, show me google.com, well, by the time that got across your slow line and went analog and then transferred back to digital and then came out and the satellite got it and sent it back to you, there was such a lag between what you sent and when you received that even though when the server actually received your request, it sent it really fast, it seemed slow because of how long it took it to get the request in the first place.
Right. And speed should not be measured in upload or download. Whenever you're talking about looking at it right here in front of you, speed needs to be measured from
the time I hit click to when do I see it,
to when do I, when is the site there? And it didn't pan out quite the way that they wanted it to.
Okay. Well, we're going to take our first break, Jack, but when we come back, I want you to tell us about the new game coming out that I'm excited about, because I am an old Sid Meier's fan, and the new Civ hitting out, and I want you to talk about that for a while. So you're listening to Tech Talk with Chad Hembree. Thanks for joining us. Jack Cates in the studio with me. We'll be right back after these messages. Hello and welcome back. You're listening to Tech Talk with Chad Hembree. Thanks for joining us. Now, as you may or may not know, we are on full video now, so all you radio listeners out there can actually watch our show, you just go to TechTalk, chadhembree.com, ChadHembree.com. Also, you can find us on several websites, one being BereaOnline.com and RichmondOnline.com. I'll plug both of those. And we will be on the new newwebradio.com, which features unsigned artists. So they'll be playing our show on there as well. So yeah, just check it out. High def video. I'm not saying we look great, but the show looks pretty good. But
that might be a slightly bold statement to make.
Yeah, the show looks okay. That's as far as I'm going. All right, Jack, tell us about Civilization
5. Yeah, the fifth one in the series.
Okay, come on. You went to their website. You got to tell them because this is hilarious.
I went to the preview site for this, and just it's one of those things that you don't think about when you write it. But the introduction to this is Sid Meier's Civilization 5 is the 5th offering in the multi-award-winning Civilization.
Really? I thought it was the 6th one or the 4th.
When you number a game, you don't have to tell us it's the 5th one. I mean, I don't know though. I guess Final Fantasy screwed that up though, didn't they? The numbering is entirely because you have like Final Fantasy 4 and then
wait a minute.
Anthology and then 5 and then
that's because they started jumping platforms and doing all that stuff too. Okay,
so maybe that's why they were doing it.
But
I'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
The 5th one,
right? And you know what? This game looks really cool, and it, from what I'm seeing, it sticks to the Civilization theme, which for turn-based gamers like you and I, because we love those strategy games. I mean, how many hours have we spent endlessly killing each other at Age of Empires?
Oh, by the way, Mason has been pulling that game out. He's learned the map. He's learning what the pieces are, and he wants us to teach him how to play. That's my 5-year-old. I'm very proud.
So there's going to be somebody else to beat me?
Well, you can beat up on him for a while. I mean, you got a couple of years.
But this was this looks really good. You have the same that depth of strategy and that sheer addictiveness.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I've always seen with people who play Civilization is I need to quit playing. One more turn. I need one more turn.
One more time. Let's try one more.
Let's do one more here. And just looking, the graphics for this thing are really good for what it is. I mean, no, it doesn't look like a Call of Duty or something like that. But it's
the cutscenes are. You're going to need a pretty good computer really for this. Good. If you want to get the full experience of the cutscenes, you need a good computer.
I'm sure that you can dial it down. But man, I would love to see just all of the cinematics.
Yeah,
that's one of the hooks for me with games like this. All of them, all of these turn-based.
What's coming up next?
I love to just sit back and watch the cinematics and crank the volume on my.
This is going to be great. I have no doubt that it's going to be great. Okay, and I'm excited about it. The other, we're getting so excited. We're knocking the table around.
I keep. It would help if I lost some of this. I need to. I'm moving the table every time that I.
StarCraft, also awesome cinematics, and that's one that I'm really looking forward to getting some more playtime in.
Considering what people tell me when we discuss StarCraft, I'm going to stay out of that conversation.
Afraid it'll be addictive to you, or what?
I have never played StarCraft. Not even one.
Not even one. Yeah, that's.
And people throw stuff at me.
Well, okay, I'll give you the pass on that because. I like StarCraft, but StarCraft 2.
Well, I was such a huge Warcraft fan that I should have really gotten into it, but I just never had the chance to play it.
The cinematics are incredibly good. Okay, but here's the problem. My 5-year-old sees me playing the game. He loves strategy games. Oh, get the tanks, Dad. Do this, do this. He won't play them. He just likes to sit, with me. And it's all fine and dandy when you're playing the game. You get to the cinematics.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. You can imagine the first time that thing blared across the speaker and my wife walked through and she said, "What are you all watching?" I was like, "I had no idea it was going to say that." So now he's like, he's so afraid that we're going to get in trouble. He'll watch me play the game and we'll come to a cinematic thing and he's like, "Mute the sound, Daddy." That's like, good idea. So we just mute it. So I have to go back later.
Mason's a little wiser than you are.
Actually, we've actually made some new words to what they're saying. Just kind of do our own dialogue. But
that's better anyway.
I'll have to go back and actually hear the dialogue at some point. But we are enjoying the game, and this game will be even better. Certainly more family friendly.
Well, when you think about the fact that Civilization 3 is still on store shelves in a lot of places. Civilization 2 is still on store shelves in a lot of places. It might be in the bargain basement, but still on the shelves. This is such a long-lived game and such a successful franchise that anytime that you see them bringing something new to the table, you just get kind of tingly, if you're a video game fan.
Oh, of course. I mean, it's good. It's a good game. It's a good basis, and you learn a lot of history doing it too, as well.
Yeah, because it uses legitimate rulers. It uses legitimate. When you go to their website, they talk about the specific leaders that you get to deal with. Queen Elizabeth I, President Washington, so on. So it's.
Sorry, I was pulling up my next story.
So it gets really, really historical. Which from the point of view of somebody like me who loves historical sims, Romance of the Three Kingdoms is probably one of my favorite games ever, and it is just a historical sim.
Japanese, yeah.
Chinese.
Sorry.
The Japanese one was Nobunaga's Ambition.
Yes, I had that one.
Yeah, you had the Japanese one. I had the Chinese.
You're
one.
right.
Yeah.
Well, okay, Civilization 5. We're looking forward to it, and we'll make sure that we get our reviews put out there as soon as we can get our hands on it. Adobe has jumped on a bandwagon of a company that we talked about several months ago, and the company's kind of caught some flack over the last few months over people debating that is their technology really as efficient as they say it is, And this is Bloom Technology we're talking about. Now, Bloom Technology developed a closely guarded fuel cell system that can run off either biogas or natural gas. They build a unit that is roughly the size of a Volkswagen Beetle car. And that unit, that size, when fueled, can power up to 100 homes for electricity. Oh, yeah. So we're talking about you could take this device, stick it in your average neighborhood, run natural gas to it. Everybody split the cost of the gas, which would be minimal because I think they're saying 10 cents per kilowatt to operate it on natural gas.
That is...
Yeah,
as close to free as you're going to get.
Your electric bill is going to run $5, per home at the most, and everyone in the neighborhood would get electricity. So it's actually a pretty cool idea. Well, Adobe has been wanting to lower their carbon footprint. Why? Well, because they're in California, and that's the cool thing to do. But but anyway.
Not to mention it's legislated in California.
No, truthfully, it's a noble idea. They want to lower it 12 million pounds of carbon output in the next 10 years. So they have purchased several of these units to go in their buildings to power their buildings. The units are selling for like $800,000 a piece. There's the negative. There's where they've been catching some flack too, because Bloom actually boasted about how they figured out how to make these fuel cells from sand and ink. What does sand cost and what does ink cost? Okay, so the problem is that they opened their mouths and revealed something, okay?
And inserted their foot.
Yeah, because the fact is, they could have been completely quiet about how they made the fuel cell and just advertise what it does and how it works, and then people would have paid the $700,000-$800,000 like Adobe's doing and not thought much about it, because a lot of fuel cells have platinum and other precious metals in them.
Right.
So you just wouldn't consider that too much. But knowing that you're buying something for nearly $1 million that's full of sand and ink does not ease the burden of selling these things, okay? Even though their research was worth a lot and their support is worth a lot, you can get the point of how people start thinking, well, wait a minute, what are you selling me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Adobe did buy into it because they do see the benefit. Oh, 60 Minutes actually covered this, by the way, and really stuck it to Bloom over this. Okay. I mean, it was one of those, what do you think you're doing type moments. But Adobe has bought into this and they're going to use it. And I am going to closely monitor. I've actually sent some emails to Adobe and got a good response. I said, I just want to know if you're happy, if it's, how is it working? Is it been satisfactory to what you thought it would be? And keep us in the know of every step or any issues that you have so that we can talk about this, because I truthfully think these fuel cells could turn out to be a better way to go than solar or half a dozen other technologies in efficiency.
Yeah, if they are being legitimate in what they're saying about the savings, if they're I can easily see that. Particularly since if they are that inexpensive to produce.
Yeah. Oh, and I said Bloom
whatever.
Technology. I meant Bloom Energy. Bloom Energy is the company. Bloom's Technology is what they made. Duh. Go on, say something else before
I forgot what I was going to say.
Stick my foot in my mouth again. Anyway, Bloom Energy, Adobe partnered up. Good deal. We'll follow it. Cheap electricity. I'm all about that. I'm all about cheap. Shouldn't say that. Should I have a lot of people that email in on the radio. I like your show and I love what I learn about the tech, but what I like most is you just say things that you don't think much about it. You just say it.
There are other people who would edit stuff like that out.
Oh, what's the fun in that?
Considering there are people at home listening to this that as soon as you said that quoted The Office.
Okay. Well, that's not bad to be compared.
Well, I was just thinking about that one particular famous line.
Okay, we got a few Dwayne stories this week, and
he does, I'll give him credit. He brings us some neat stuff.
He does bring us some good stories. Last week we talked about the commercial tourism business of going to the space station. It was going to be a partnership with NASA and what was it? Was it Boeing, or I can't remember which U.S. company it was. Boeing, I think. Boeing Aerospace.
Was it Boeing?
So anyway, doesn't matter. But the point is, we have an American company that was partnered up to do it. Now, Russia has two companies that are going to work together and already have their plans to produce a new space station, but not to compete with the International Space Station for governmental type use and research.
No, the ISS is for research.
For tourism and commercial use. Like if a aerospace company wanted to send one of their scientists up there to test something, then this would be the kind of place where you could buy your spot on the station for a while.
Yeah, if you couldn't get the blessing of the government organizations or agencies that run the ISS, then this is, which is probably a really profitable idea, because Have you ever seen how many thousands of research requests are sent in to the ISS?
Oh, yeah.
Every year.
It's amazing.
When you think about how many of those are weeded out, and these are companies that might well be willing to pay in the 7 to 8 figure range to get to do their research.
The research that they need.
This could be incredibly popular.
Now,
Profitable. Excuse me.
There is an American company that's trying to do the same thing, Bigelow, and we haven't heard much out of them lately, so I'm not going to talk about them much. But we did talk about them a year ago doing this. Now, the two Russian companies, I'm getting real. Kind of think this is hilarious. Are Orbital Technologies, and I'm having to read this, Rocket and Space Corporation Energia. Is that right? Is that how you would say it?
Energia.
Energia. Anyway, these two companies are partnering to build this thing, but we had an exchange student from Russia. Hello, Alina, if you're watching. She's watched a few times, or listened, I should say. The naming of things from Russian companies is funny because it's pretty obvious. They're actually calling this CSS, the Commercial Space Station. Not anything, named after some mythological or some technical thing. No, it's the Commercial Space Station. That's what it is.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
Well,
simplicity.
I'm not saying there's something wrong with it. It's just
Yeah,
it is what it is.
It is what it is. Well, we come from a generation or a generation. I can't talk. How can I do a radio show? We come from a tradition where we have Apollo and Genesis, and we have all these neat names for our stuff, and then they come from a tradition of let's call it what it is.
I agree. That a simple naming thing, but now think about it. We talk about the Orion space, or we talk about the Ares rocket, or the Saturn V.
Of course, we did it with the space shuttle.
Well,
the individual space shuttles have names, but
yeah,
it's just the space shuttle program.
Okay, I'll go for that. That's simple. And the International Space Station's not too fancy, I guess, compared to the commercial space station.
Can you imagine all of the countries that are working together on that, trying to come up and agree with a name?
Yeah,
International Space Station works real well.
I was going to say, I can't. Yeah, you're right. The UN also trying to keep up with what's going on with the space race. So they have decided now that they're going to appoint an official ambassador from the UN that will be responsible for first contact with an alien society. So whether that be aliens visiting us or us contacting aliens through, say, the SETI project. We have got 3 or 4 more stories I'd like to talk about before we talk about security stuff, but we need to rush through it so I have enough time to get all the security things in that I want to talk about. First of all, let's talk about some of these tablets coming out.
Yeah, it looks like BlackBerry, RIM is going to get involved on the tablet end.
And they got an interesting name for theirs too, right?
Yeah, the Playbook.
Yeah.
Sports fans everywhere. Okay. But apparently Playbook is going to have one drawback. From looking at it, it looks like a tablet. I mean, just looking at the specs and everything for it, it looks like basically it's a tablet. Does seem to have a little drawback going, though, in that it doesn't have its own built-in 3G or 4G antenna.
So it's only Wi-Fi.
Well, what you can do is you can hook it to a 3G or 4G network through your BlackBerry.
Okay, but now you're not having to pay a separate plan, so there could be an advantage to that.
That's true. Neither the story that I read nor my own thought processes put a positive spin on that. But yeah, you're right. They could. So in the end, which I think that there are plans in the works to add one, perhaps in the second generation of Playbook.
Okay, but they'll see who they need to partner with.
But for now, yeah, it doesn't have a 3G or 4G model.
Well, Dell's 7-inch tablet is due next week, and
7-inch tablet.
Yeah.
Isn't this thing just a smartphone at that point?
Yeah, you're right. It's small enough that it should be a phone. 10-inch. They have a 10-inch version that'll be here in 2011, but the 7-inch version's coming.
Which now the Playbook was that size too. I mean, you could hold it like this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you can hold it in your hand, thusly, it's an oversized smartphone.
One thing that the Dell has is a TV tuner that's optional. But that makes it kind of nice. It uses that NVIDIA Tegra 2 processor, and it has 4 gigs of internal storage, which isn't much, but comes with a 32 gigabyte SDHC card. So.
Oh, neat.
So that's how they
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you would be able to expand yours, whatever, that way.
All right.
So with those gadgets out of the way. Next week, by the way, we're going to be talking about a couple of things going on. There's an independent attorney that is now suing individuals that he finds online downloading stuff. So not only are companies going after it now, he's going to set a trend for attorneys to personally start suing people. So be careful if you're downloading anything illegal, because he's already gone back and tracking thousands of people's IPs and submitting them to. He's got the ACLU all stirred up. He's got a half a dozen, but no one's been able to block him yet.
How?
He's suing on behalf.
I'll have to. Okay.
He's suing on behalf of the copyright
on behalf
holders.
of. Okay.
But it's kind of like, hey, copyright holder, guess what I got?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's taking.
Yeah. What do we call them? Ambulance chasers, but in this case, it's copyright chasers.
Yeah,
Okay.
I guess I'll give him credit for a clever approach.
Oh yeah. So anyway, and also the Senate is going to look at its first anti-piracy bill. So we'll be talking about that next week as well. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about computer security and what you need to do to keep yourself secure, and some ideas with your passwords and your notebooks. All right, first of all, let's start with passwords for the internet. You can have passwords for 100 sites and not even be a heavy computer user these days. A heavy user could have it for 300 or 400 sites.
Yeah,
and that may sound completely absurd to some people listening, but just start going through the list. Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, MSN, CNN,
Gmail.
You got it. And all of a sudden you end up at 10 or 20, and then you're like, well, after that 10 or 20, it's easy to come up with 40, and I'm telling you, you can rack up.
Yeah, you
and then you end up with accounts at places that you went one time that you don't know if you'll ever go back. But the fact is, when you do go back, you can't remember what you used.
Yeah,
to sign in.
You need to download that one user manual or something.
Now, everything that we're going to tell you on Tech Talk, we stick to our guns. You should use a separate password for every site you belong to. And I know people want to argue with me over this, that it's impossible, I can't do it, I can't keep up with it. You need to do it because you have personal data stored on each one of those sites, and if one of those gets compromised, you don't want to have to go change your stuff on 99 other sites. It's just not worth the trouble. So come up with a system. Now, Jack, what system do you use for your passwords?
Well, mine have a shared component and then a unique component from that it's not the best system, but what I do is I come up with a unique component to the password that is related in some way to the site. May not. Now, I will tell you, don't use the full name of the site. And in fact, some passwords, they won't let you use the name of the site. I think Skype is one of them. If you try to use the letters SKYPE in that order in their password, you can't. It will kick that password every time.
I think the system you're saying is the one that I've been using the most with people that come to me for consulting. What should I do? You have a common password that you use. Say it's, let's just make something up, banana, with a capital, with all the A's capital. Okay?
Right.
So, and then you need a number component, so maybe use your birth year.
Right.
So, and mine would be banana 1974. Okay, with capital A's.
74.
So that's my
Wow. Oh.
that's my set password I'm going to use on every site.
Right.
Now I've got to come up with a component from each site that's recognizable to me as a system for how to do that.
Right.
Maybe it's the first two letters of the site's website address. Maybe it's the last two letters. Maybe it's
Maybe
the
it's
middle
something-
letters,
Yeah,
you
maybe
know.
it's something connected to the site.
Something about the site.
Facebook, it could be Zuckerberg Banana 1974, whatever,
But something that's going to
if you
be
know that-
easy for you to remember, because what you need to remember is banana 1974. And the other part should be obvious to you when you go to the site that, oh, I would have used this banana 1974 or reverse banana 1974 this. That makes your password unique enough that a bot, which is really what's trying to break your password, not somebody sitting there typing. Nobody does that. I mean,
No, there are programs that do that.
yeah, they have
Why bother?
programs, that bots that are doing this. So the fact is, if you can make it tricky enough, the bots are going to. Whoa, there goes my mic. The bots
Can you still hear
are. Can you hear me now? The bots are not going to be able to beat that if you can keep it up like that.
No, and,
All right.
and if it beats one, then it's not beating
The others.
your entire gamut of passwords because they're programmed that way. to
Be
do that.
sure that if you use passwords that you're using capital letters, lowercase letters, and numbers. Make sure that's in every one of your passwords. That raises the odds so much in your favor than all lowercase letters.
Yeah, you're talking going from 26 characters to 62 characters. Well, 63 characters, sorry. No, 62 to 62 characters just by incorporating caps and numbers.
Now, I used to say try to throw in something odd, like an exclamation point or a question mark or a star. And truthfully, all of the really modern websites will accept those in their passwords. And those are great to add.
And in fact,
But a lot of the older sites you use are not going to use those. So if you're trying to come up with some kind of set password you can use on every site, I'm going to discourage you from using those characters because eventually you're going to hit one site that's not going to work, and then you'll have one floating out there that doesn't fit your system. Go ahead.
but
John.
if you don't mind doing that, it's nice. But what I was going to say, the bank that I do my internet banking through requires an ASCII character in addition to text and numbers. You have to incorporate it. It won't accept your password if you don't.
Okay, now
So
with
that's-
all this being said, there's still people that are going, I can't do it. I can't do it. Well, I have help for you. It's a program that I use. Now, I've got to the point now that the sites I go to, I've gotten so used to typing in the passwords, and I won't save my passwords in my computer, by the way. I'm very, very against doing that because I let people borrow my computer all the time. So none of my passwords are saved in here. If I'm at a coffee shop and somebody next to me and says, can I look something up? I have no problem sliding my computer over and say, yeah, sure, look it up. They're not getting into my stuff, okay? That's just the way I am about it.
And
Most people are not.
I'm one of those that isn't. But on the other hand, this thing is mine.
Yeah.
Hands off, So
it's just two different attitudes
Right.
of how to use it. Now, the program that I'm talking about is called Keepass. That's Keepass. And their website, let me pull it up here, is keepass.info. I knew I would mess that up if I tried to remember it. .info. And we should put a link on TechTalk to this.
we should.
They're up to version, I think, 2. Let me pull up the website here. 2.13, yeah, is the newest release. The nice thing about Keepass is they make versions of it for phones as well.
Which is becoming a much bigger deal than it has been.
It's a free program. It's OSI certified. It is uses the algorithm AES, which is the government standard for encryption, up to top secret. And I don't think many of us have things that need to be rated any more than top secret. Okay, so the fact is, this thing is a great password safe. What you do is you come up with one password and make it a doozy. Make it capital letters, make it at least some caps, some numbers, lowercase letters, maybe a couple characters, something that you're going to remember that's pretty long.
I would say 20 characters at least. Somewhere in there.
No, that's probably too long.
No, that's not too long. 20 characters.
I was thinking like 10 to 12.
Mine for every website that I do is
getting
at
that long
least
now?
10. And I have some that are longer.
8's the standard. So I'm thinking 10 to 12 puts you well above the standard.
I can think of 2 or 3 that I have fewer than 10. But that's most anyway.
So anyway, if you make one good password, then you can go into Keepass, put the websites of all the sites that you have, put whatever unique, and this way you can come up with some crazy website passwords, and even tell Keepass, make one up. It'll make one up for you that's completely random.
And you never need to know
And
it.
you never need to know it, because all you do is the first thing you load when you start your computer is Keepass. You click on the website you want to go to, it automatically logs you in. You're good to go. Keepass will fix that problem for you. Now it doesn't help you if you're bouncing around from public computers, but it does help you on your computer.
Okay. The question I would ask is, does this work for downloadable programs that work through the internet? Something like, say, Skype or Yahoo Messenger or something?
It would work for Skype
those?
on the Skype website where you have your account. It would not work for this program on your computer.
Okay.
It would work for Flickr, but not the Flickr uploader on your computer. Okay. So remember. But if you're already logged into the Skype website or the Flickr website, your program is already logged in because it detects that.
Right. Okay.
All right. So there is a way to get around that.
Okay.
So keep
Well, I was just asking out of
this
my own curiosity
program
more than anything else.
in mind when you're thinking about password security, because it will make your life a lot easier in keeping your passwords, and try to come up with some sort of a system that will help you. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, the company that I'm working with now has many laptops in the field, and they're supposed to be HIPAA compliant. And just like every organization out there, you run into issues because the laws change all the time. And right now, if you're not familiar with HIPAA, it's the Health Information
Privacy
Act. There's 2 A's. Look it up.
Yes, sir.
Health Information Privacy Act something. The last A, I can't remember. All right, while you're looking that up.
Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act.
Accountability, that's the one we missed. So
Well, we missed privacy too because it's portability. But Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act.
Okay, anyway, the point of HIPAA is to keep your data safe on your medical records and your personal information. So the insurance companies have to adhere to it, medicals, hospital, home health, all that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. One of the stipulations in HIPAA is that if you lose your computer and it's not encrypted, you have to report that to the government. And you have to set up a call center to start catching the fallout of the data being out there and people's information being stolen. So the cost of reporting and setting up a data center and hiring an attorney and everything that you have to do is going to be phenomenal, when all you had to do was have your computer encrypted. Now, I'm going to tell you about encryption on your computer. Everyone should have their computer encrypted, especially a notebook. And you're going to do this tonight when you get home now, after I talk about it, when you find out how easy it is. Number one way to do encryption on your computer is to buy the ultimate version of Windows. It comes with BitLocker. Okay, that's expensive. That's very expensive, actually. So BitLocker, when your computer's turned off, it's basically a rock until you can put that password into it to turn your computer on and unencrypt the stuff that's on it. The next program that I want to recommend is PGP. Pretty Good Protection is what started out as calling it. PGP, which is now owned by Symantec. If you're not familiar with Symantec, you are familiar with the other company they own, Norton Security. So anyway, PGP is encryption software that runs about $150, which is quite expensive, but it is top of the line encryption. So if you are any kind of a medical organization, I sincerely urge you to look into PGP for your desktop, for your notebook computers, not desktops necessarily, but your notebook computers, because if they're lost, then they're protected, and it allows shared keys, so that way your administrator can get into the computers, and it's a lot more IT friendly than the other types. But there is a free version out there for everyone else. And I have used it on my computer before in the past. And it's called TrueCrypt. Now their website is truecrypt.org. It's TrueCrypt.org. And they offer a program that will encrypt your computer for free. Now, the problem that I see with TrueCrypt is it doesn't work integrated with Windows. It works outside of Windows. So once you encrypt your hard drive, when you turn your computer on, it comes to a screen for TrueCrypt, and you have to unencrypt it before Windows even starts loading. So that means if you ever change a password or forget your TrueCrypt password because you've changed your Windows or something happens, it's a brick. You're not going to be able to recover it. And there is no IT manager overload or fail safe or anything like that. It is what it is, and it's gone. So we need to keep that in mind for that program if you use it. But TrueCrypt is a great open source way to encrypt your notebooks. So with all that being said, I hope that everyone will look into some kind of encryption for their notebook so they can keep it safe. If someone gets it, they're not going to get into it. Windows passwords are awful. You can crack those things so easily, it doesn't really even matter. So make sure you get some kind of encryption. Also look into Keepass and keep those internet passwords separate for your different sites. I want to thank Jack for being in the studio with me. I want to thank Dwayne Shelton for running the camera and Nick for helping out. You can join us every week right here, Tech Talk. You can find us on the web, www.chadhembree.com. Or you can find us on Apple's iTunes. Just type Chad Hembree in the search box. Thanks for joining us. Join us next week for more tech news.